welcome to the Holly Meredith Show. Thank you so much for coming to join me today because I have so many things to say to you about Benghazi. Or, as our wonderful Nancy Pelosi, Minority Speaker of the House, idiot that she is, said yesterday, Benghazi, Benghazi, Benghazi. Why aren't we talking about something else? Well, gee, Nancy, because finally after 20 months, the truth is coming out about Benghazi. And in case any of you have been under a rock, this week, thanks to Judicial Watch and their lawsuit against your government, forcing the State Department to release documents they did not release before, as well as documents they had released that were so redacted, meaning wiped out, blocked out, blacked out, that you couldn't see what was under them. What is the point of releasing redacted documents? Would somebody please explain that to me? What good are they? Well, Judicial Watch decided they weren't any good at all, so they sued and got the real documents, in which it clearly shows that the charming David Rhodes and Ben Rhodes, who are brothers, are working in cahoots to protect Obama. Ben Rhodes is the White House Deputy National Security Advisor. And I said a year ago on my show, a year ago, before they had all these documents, I said then that the trail of real truth would go back to Ben Rhodes. And the reason most of America never hears anything about Benghazi before this week is because Ben's brother David is CBS News president. Gee, now let me think about that just for a moment. CBS News president, White House Security National Advisor, they're brothers. Do you think they talk to each other every day about what they want you to know? I guarantee you that they do, and what they don't want you to know. And by the way, if you missed a very interesting interview that Bret Baier did with this guy, Tommy Vietor, please, somebody tell me how Tommy Vietor ever got a job in our government, dude. He's talking about 4 dead men, and Bret Baier asks him a normal question, meaning, are you the one who changed the words from the State Department? And Tommy Dude Vietor says, dude? That was 2 years ago. What's the big deal? Why are we even talking about it? Well, dude, it's because there are 4 dead Americans, including the first ambassador in 30 years, who should not be dead, dude, and who waited for help for more than 9 hours, dude, and it could have come, should have come, and would have come, dude, except for that idiot you work for, dude. Now, are we clear enough on the dude picture, dude? It was the most embarrassing interview that I have ever seen or heard regarding our government and the fools and idiots and traitors that are running it. Finally, because he has no choice, John lets loving to cry every chance he gets Boehner, our House Speaker, who could have done this more than a year ago. More than a year ago, John Boehner could have called for a special committee. He could have called for a special investigator. He could have called for anything. What he did was nothing. He did nothing because he was hoping sincerely that it would go away because it's an embarrassment. But he's had no choice now, thanks to these documents that clearly show that those activities of that evening had absolutely, positively nothing to do with the video that the poor little American citizen, Nakula Vasili Nakula, whom we have never seen or heard of again since then, had absolutely nothing to do with it. Nothing, not a zilch. And that when your president and your Secretary of State came out the very next day and said that it was based on the video that this attack took place and that they were going to take care of the person who made the video, and our president went in front of the UN and said the same thing, and Susan Rice, who it turns out had been prepped the night before by none other than David Rhodes and Ben Rhodes, had been prepped the night before as to what to say at these interviews all around the Sunday talk shows. She went on 5 of them to try to convince everybody that it was the video, even though they knew immediately, 24 hours later, that it absolutely, unequivocally, positively was not the video. No, it was an Al-Qaeda pre-planned terrorist attack. But because it was coming 7 weeks before the election, these people made a very calculated political call. And that call was to ignore the entire thing. Yes, America, while your men were fighting and eventually died, not only were people available to help them who wanted to help them, in fact, were asking to go to help them, your president was having debate class because he was on his way to Las Vegas the next day for a fundraiser. So while your people were dying, our soldiers and our ambassador were being tortured and killed, he was practicing his debate skills. And dude, Tommy Vietor, was in the Situation Room watching live. I want you to understand that more than 1,200 people in the State Department, in the military echelons, and in the White House all watched these men die live from the drone overhead that was sending back the live feed. So can we please put an end to all the nonsense about A, they didn't know who did it, they know. And they have known for a very long time. B, they can't understand why it happened, they know. If you haven't figured this out, let me explain it to you. Because your president prefers the Muslims to us, he had decided on his own that he was going to pull the Marine contingent out of Libya, out of Benghazi, 1 month before this happened. They are usually on the ground at our embassies to take care of our embassies, our consulates, and the people that are there. He pulled them out. State pulled them out. And State works for him. Hillary Clinton worked for him. So that was a decision made on all of their parts. They made that decision. And they handed over the protection of our embassy and our men to the Libyans. Because your dear leader wanted to make sure that the Libyans felt good, that they felt proud of themselves. The very self-same Libyans who 2 hours before the attack were taking pictures of the compound. And Sean Smith, the IT guy, tweeted to one of his friends, if we're still alive tonight, I'm going to be surprised because our guards, in quotations, just took pictures of the compound. And then they left. So now you have our consulate there with no protection because they already had been told that an attack was coming. So they took pictures, showed those pictures, no doubt, to the people that were coming because they knew exactly where Ambassador Stevens was. There was a safe room in the embassy. They knew where it was, and they got him. And they dragged him out, and they tortured him. He was not in the safe room, and he didn't die of smoke inhalation, although that's the party line they want you to believe. No. So let us go back to how we got here 20 months later. We should have a special investigator because in 1973, and I was alive then, when Richard Nixon and the Watergate scandal broke, Richard Nixon eventually resigned rather than put the entire country through the horror of going through a real impeachment of a sitting president, which is nothing like the joke that went on with Clinton. This was a real problem. He was a man of integrity, honor, and dignity, whether you like his politics or not, and he took it seriously. He wasn't going to have any kind of problem going on in the Oval Office when he was there. There'd be no stain on a blue dress that he had anything to do with. But because he had knowledge of a break-in into the Democratic National Committee's office, that's what it was all about, and he knew that they did it, and he didn't say anything about it. In fact, he lied about it, and he kept tapes talking about it. A break-in into a building. That brought Richard Nixon down. Richard Milhouse Nixon resigned the presidency of the United States because he got caught lying about a break-in into the National Democratic Committee's building. Does that have any kind of semblance of reality to 4 dead Americans who could have been helped, should have been helped, and were left to die because politically it was the right thing to do. Obama had just come out and announced to everybody that Al-Qaeda was on the run, that Osama bin Laden was dead, and that he had taken care of the problem single-handedly. Bush was nothing. Bush had tried for all those years to do something that Obama had done with a wave of his magic wandy. Not quite. Not quite. So again, here we are 20 months later. And why hasn't it gone away? Because the families haven't let it go away. Because it's terrible that this happened. Because it's draconian in every way. Our first ambassador in 30 years. And he was a good guy, believe it. He spoke Farsi. He liked being where he was. He had sent three, count them three requests for help. Only 2 to 3 weeks before this happened, saying we are not protected. We were the only flag flying in Benghazi at the time. We were it. Everybody else had gone, had left, because it was such a terrible place to be, especially when you're not protected. And he tried. I will give Ambassador Stevens credit for this. He could have gone, he could have left, but he had a duty to do. He was, in all accounts, a pretty good guy. He was trying to do his job to the best of his ability, and for that, he died. Not because he did anything wrong, but because his country failed him. We failed him, and we failed the men who tried to protect him. And the criminality of that is called treason. When you do anything that aids and abets the enemy or anything against the best interests of your country, look it up. It's called treason. And the reason I say that is all of these people involved, more than 1,200 people, knew what happened that night, know what went on, know what should have happened. Our guys should have been helped. It may not have been possible to save them. Who knows? But the nonsense that you hear that there wasn't enough time, there was no way of knowing when it started at 9 o'clock how long it was going to go on. It went on until 5:30 in the morning. But there was no way of knowing that when it started. It could have gone on for 10 minutes or 10 years for all they know. They had no way of knowing. So how can you say, well, there wasn't enough time to help them? We had people not even 2 hours away in Czechoslovakia. That's how close they were. They were close, they were ready, and they wanted to go. But as I said more than a year ago, they waited for an order that did not come. Up the chain of command it went, no doubt. We would like to help our men. They're under attack, as our ambassador said clearly. He said, we're under attack. Those are the last words ever heard from Ambassador Stevens. We're under attack. Gone. Everyone knows what happened. So I'm trying to explain to you, we need a special prosecutor. We don't even need a special committee. We need a special prosecutor because these people, Obama, Clinton, Panetta, Rhodes, Rice, whom else can I think of that I left out? Petraeus, are all guilty of treason. They could have helped our people. And that is the main responsibility of the President of the United States, to look after the people of the country. And he failed miserably. And even failing miserably isn't so terrible, except that he failed miserably on purpose. He was not where he should have been. He was busy having a debate so that his skills at debating could be honed rather than his skills at being president. He certainly wasn't commander-in-chief that evening, and that is why it is important that we understand that all of this must come out, and it will come out. It took 2 years to bring Nixon down. 2 years. And now we're at 20 months, and this is much, much worse. The death of 4 American citizens. And I say to you, only the president can give the order when people are out of the country. Only the president can order the military to go anywhere. And his decision was to not order it. This is Holly Meredith. I'm getting ready to go to my first break. Please come back afterwards so that you can really find out what is going on in your country.
Hi, good morning. I'm the owner of Chopstick Chinese Restaurant. My name is Scott Along. I'm serving Mandarin, Sichuan, Cantonese cuisine past 18 years. I'm only the Chinese restaurant who's serving the halal food from South Florida, and then we make a fresh cake and everything made from scratch. So cooks in order. So please try us, and we're in downtown, second location, and under the Dark Bay building. As you can see, we have a catering tonight, 100 people. Mostly we do takeout, dining, delivery, and catering too. So we have a price ranges start from $6 to in between $12 to $13. Try us. Thank you.
Welcome back to the Holly Meredith Show. Let me carry on with where I left off. I do want to interject something that I find exceedingly interesting, if not actually strange and bizarre. We have a person in our Congress, Daniel Inouye, who soon will be the oldest member ever to have served in our Congress. That was held before, and it has now been broken. Strom Thurmond used to hold it, and now we had another person recently that held it. Conyers, I believe. Yes, John Conyers. These people never go away. They are there forever. Mr. Inouye is going to be 92. 92. And he was on the committee that took down Richard Milhouse Nixon. He was a member of the Select Committee. Just so you're aware of that, it was a bipartisan committee. Yes, it was. And they did together ascertain that all of these people were involved in obstruction of justice. There were 40 of them. 40 of them that actually either went to jail, lost their jobs, lost their pensions. Remember, this is a time when things actually happened to people who did bad things in your government. Now they get promoted, or they get dead. But they get promoted or dead. Hopefully they get promoted, but they do get dead. Just making a statement. All of these people were found guilty of wiretapping and obstruction of justice because they all lied when they were asked the questions that we are now asking of these same people. These people all know what happened. They know. They watched it. They're aware of it. Even yesterday, General Lavelle, who was one of the 1,200, even he candidly admitted at the last oversight committee meeting we have, even he candidly admitted that we should have done something because people, even if you're going to fail, we owed them the attempt. It was our place to go and help them. They not only asked for it, they expected it because they knew it was available. Can you imagine what was going through their minds as they're sitting there on top of a roof with machine guns and grenades going off all around them, knowing full well that their country could come to their aid, and their country and countrymen would have come to their aid? It was the debacle in our White House that did not come to their aid. It was the Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton, who is in collusion with the debacle in our White House. It is Ben Rhodes who made a decision to change the talking points and have a prep for Susan Rice. If you can't see how wrong that is, that you're telling people in the country absolute lies because an election is coming up, this has nothing to do with a wiretap. It has nothing to do with Watergate. Watergate was bad enough in and of itself, but we were so much more innocent then. We had not been exposed to the horrors of this current administration that we've now been exposed to, where he makes up law as he goes through the day. It's whatever he feels like saying, and we don't do anything about it because, hey, you know, he's the first black president we ever had. Please let him be the last. If this is what you're going to get. Richard Milhouse Nixon was found guilty June 27th, 1974, and it came about as a breach of faith. When you no longer can trust the commander-in-chief, when you cannot trust the president, your president, he's supposed to be our leader. We're supposed to have faith in him. We're supposed to believe, or her, we're supposed to believe this man or woman is going to do their utmost, utter best to make sure that the country perseveres, moves forward, its citizenry moves forward, that everything he can do in his power, and he is the most powerful person on earth. Remember that. Everything he can do in his power, he is going to do for you, for me, for people we don't know but that are in the country. He's going to do his best for us, and he doesn't. He doesn't do his best for us at all. He does his best for his friends. He does his best for his political cronies. He doesn't do his best for the economy. We have a flat economy. He doesn't do his best for the health care of the country. We used to have the finest health care in the world, and now we have utter and complete chaos. He doesn't do his best to bring the country together. He is as divisive as Abraham Lincoln, if not more so. Every speech the man gives is telling you about all the bad things that white people do, especially those rich white 1%ers, and how poor black people never do anything wrong, and that we're doing bad things to them. We have a death penalty that shouldn't be used because obviously, since more black people get the death penalty, there must be something wrong with that. Well, there isn't. More black people commit the crimes. I know it's sad and awful to say this, but I am going to say it. He is not a good president. He is not really even a president. And the reason all of the Democrats are flailing about madly and are in fact desperate is because these things are going to come out. Just as everything about Richard Milhouse Nixon came out, just as everything about Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky came out. It takes a while. It takes some time. But eventually people talk, people start feeling guilty, things start happening, people want to tell the truth, and they do. Just like General LaBelle yesterday, who said quite candidly, we should have done something. Anything would have been better than nothing. So I bring it home to you again. Picture our men, our brave citizens fighting to the death, because that is what they did, looking to the sky at all times because they knew helicopters could have come, bombs could have been dropped, armed forces on the ground could have come into the country. We were close. And the ridiculous lame excuse that, oh, whatever he is, his lame excuse is, well, he didn't want to upset the government of Libya, which didn't exist really, the government of Libya by having an untoward action that might be construed as a warlike action. Well, what is attacking the embassy? That is a declaration of war on our country. War had already been declared in Libya. We just chose to not answer that. We, not you and I myself, but the president who has the authority, chose not to do anything about it. So here I say to you again, as the days go by and as the special committee comes to pass, which it's going to, and we will in the end have a special prosecutor like Archibald Cox, and when that happens and all of these people who are privy to what happened that night, and by the way, he is not going to be able to keep that video and call it classified, as he's going to try to do, because no one's going to let him get away with that. When you get the special prosecutor and you actually get the video being shot live overnight from the drone, taking pictures of the action in Benghazi as it happened, then you'll know that A, they know who did it, they know when it started, they know what transpired, they know how long it took to the second, they know where everybody was, they know that the military wanted to go, they know that the military people were close enough to go. All of those things are true, and then you'll see the actual path and trajectory of what took place. The military sent up the chain of command to Leon Panetta. Leon Panetta contacted the State Department's Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton, by the next day, the next day was already talking about a video that didn't really have anything to do with anything. And keep in mind, the only person up to date to this moment in time, the only person that has been brought to any kind of arrest or anything whatsoever is the little Egyptian legal American citizen who was so proud of America that he made this video, and he wanted to show it because he was so proud of being an American and so disdainful of Muslims and their behavior, even though he was an Egyptian Muslim. He was so proud of his video, he got arrested. He got arrested with a hood thrown over his head and taken away, and we have yet to hear or see of him again. He didn't do anything. He shouldn't have been arrested because he committed no crime. But he got arrested. The actual people who killed our people, they're sitting on the beach in Libya. They know they have no problem because our president's never going to go get them. Our president wants it to go away, dude. Our president wants you to forget about it. What is it? What difference does it make, as your Secretary of State said, between what difference does it make from Clinton and Tommy Vietor, dude, it was 2 years ago, and your president, who, by the way, the reason we're pretty certain he was in the middle of a debate team is because in the White House you have to sign in when you arrive there. There's a sign-in list. And all the people that do his debates and help him prep for debates, they were there. So he wasn't in the Situation Room, everybody admits that, and he didn't give any kind of order to help our men while they were dying. So I want you to think of this as your president. He's sitting in his White House with his debate team debating because he's going to go to a fundraiser the next day in Las Vegas while our men are on a rooftop in Benghazi, bleeding and fighting for their lives until they did die. Yes, all of them did. They died. Not pleasantly, I might add. And I want to keep coming back to what I said to you before. As they're dying, I'm sure they're still looking to the sky, hoping against hope, even at the very last moment, that their people are coming to get them. Even if nothing else happened but a flash bomb to cause a diversion. This guy, these two men who were ex-SEALs, Tyrone Woods and the other one, Doherty, these guys fought for 9 hours by themselves and were able to keep all these guys from getting them. They ran out of ammunition. Nobody came, and yet after 9 hours they finally died, not because they were losing, but because they had no ammunition. So let's just put it this way. How can you walk through the country of America and hold your head up? You should all be so ashamed. You should be ashamed. You should be embarrassed. It is humiliating beyond belief. Americans are special. We don't leave our people behind. We don't leave our ambassador to be dragged through the streets and cattle prodded. We don't do that. That's not us. That might be some other country because, dude, it was 2 years ago. But it's not us. Our men deserved our help. We could have helped them. If you take nothing else away from this show, remember that. They deserved our help. They knew it was available. We could have helped them. The person in charge, that would be Barack Hussein Obama. That person in charge, who is the only one in the country, there is nobody else. Only he can give that order. And that order was not forthcoming. So his decision on that evening was better not to save the lives of 4 Americans than to be embarrassed by the fact that Al-Qaeda is really not in retreat 7 weeks before my election. Because had the country really known what happened right after it happened, do you honestly believe that this travesty would be sitting in our White House? Because he would not. He is not fit to be a president. Not only is he not the commander-in-chief, all of his records are sealed, as I've said many, many times before, because if all of his records come to light, everybody will see that he is not a legal president. And if he is not a legal president, then none of his laws are legal. None of his executive actions are legal. Nothing about him is legal. And that is why everything is sealed. There is no other reason. Think about it for a second. Why would you seal all your records unless you had a lot of things you wish to hide? That is the only reason anybody ever seals anything. This man, Barack Hussein Obama, made a judgment call, probably with help from Hillary Clinton, maybe Leon Panetta, although Leon Panetta, who was defense secretary at the time, can't be found to give you any remarks at the moment. Leon Panetta is hiding. Leon Panetta is a fairly decent man in my estimation. I think Leon Panetta is so ashamed and so embarrassed that he was a party to this horror, to this travesty, to this stain on America, which is what it is. I think he's embarrassed to even be seen in public because many people are trying to interview him and he can't be found. Somewhat like Petraeus couldn't be found for a while. Somewhat like General Ham couldn't be found for a while. Somewhat like the person from Benghazi who did try to help our people on the ground there and who suffered so many grievous wounds that he's still in Walter Reed Hospital today. He's not allowed to be interviewed either. So, if you compound this, why is no one who was there allowed to be interviewed? Why do your generals now say to you that, yes, we could have gone and helped them? There's no way of knowing if we would have been successful. There is no way of knowing how long it was going to take. You didn't know how long it was going to take until it ended at 5:35 a.m., 9 hours after it began. But you didn't know that when it began. So there is no way of saying, oh, we couldn't have gotten there in time because you didn't know how much time it would be. And there is no way of saying, oh, there was nobody close enough, though, because there were. So when you eliminate the obvious, then you are left with the obvious. Again, our men, Americans, were left to die all alone when they were perfectly able to be helped. Nevertheless, that decision did not come. This is Holly Meredith. I'm getting ready to close my show. I ask you sincerely to pay attention to the next several weeks because fireworks are coming. Treason is in the air. High crimes and treason has been perpetrated against our country, and you are now going to be part of the history, just like it was with Watergate, to see a sitting president come down.
Hi, I'm Maria of My Clean Home Services. Been in business for 5 years now. I specialize in residential and I also do commercial. If you need any references, I can provide that for you upon request. You can give me a call at 954-520-4282 if you have any questions. Thank you and have a wonderful day.
Hi, my name is Michael Goldenberg. I'm the owner of Quality Ink and Toner. We've been in business for 8 years now. We sell compatible and remanufactured toner cartridges. Specialize in offices, doctors, lawyers, insurance companies. Delivery is free if you're in Palm Beach County or Broward. If you're outside of that area, drop shifts are available. Phone number is 561-396-4700. Okay, if you call us today, you can have same-day delivery. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Welcome back to the show. I got a little upset and a little carried away like I always do because I am passionate about my country and I really cannot believe the things that are happening to it, and they do happen to it every single day. It's because you never know anything. I know that you don't understand that, but you never get told anything. We get propagandized all the time. Because most of our stations, most of our media, unfortunately, is all of one political cant. They are liberal, heading towards socialist, and some of them are communists. So they protect each other and they only give you one side of the picture. And if you only get one side of the picture, well then that's all that you know. And the only way you can have a truly intelligent, educated, sophisticated electorate is if you get all sides of the argument and then you make an educated decision. If you're only force-fed one side, which is what we've been getting for 50 years, then that's the only thing you know. So of course, when you give a vote, for instance, for free health care, as one of the people that I work with said to me, but I was all for free health care when I asked her why she voted for Obama. But free health care is wonderful, but it isn't free. Duh! This is what always makes me laugh when people say that. Free may be free to you, but it simply means that somebody else is paying for themselves and you. There is no free anything. There is a price tag for everything, and somebody gets it. And on coming back to that note, there is going to be a price tag for Benghazi. And Benghazi, as horrific as it is not the only thing that you can lay at this travesty's door, and I'm talking about Obama. Obamacare, mess, scam, whatever you want to call it, is wreaking havoc on our economy. People are not hiring anybody. And if they do, they hire them as part-time workers because they don't want to pay the full amount of money that Obamacare requires. And if you have a 1%, meaning a completely flat economy, which is what we just had 1 week ago, that's where our country is. We are not moving. Thank you, Obama. The men in Benghazi, thank you, Obama. The people that can't get any health care if they have cancer and want to go to Sloan Kettering, thank you, Obama. The people that you were supposed to help aren't getting that help, thank you, Obama. The young people that you want to rob to pay for all the old people, they're wising up. They're not taking your Obama mess. Thank you, Obama. And our entitlement spending is swallowing our federal budget. We are getting rapidly to the same place that Europe is. Why would anyone want to be where Europe is? Europe can't get out of its own way. Entitlements mean that this country is providing more money to people to do nothing than to the people that actually are doing something, as in workers. 1 in 4 of every household, nobody works in that household. In 1 of 4, nobody works. They get government sustenance. Do you not understand that when your government provides everything for you, you have to accept whatever your government does because your entire lifeline is connected to your government? That's what Obama scam was really about. Not only is it 202 taxes, but, and the largest tax increase we've ever had, but you're completely dependent on your government for your health care, for your life, for the life of your children, your parents, your husband, your wife. You have signed over to whichever government is in power control over how long you live, and if you live in pain or not. That is what Obama scam has done to us, and the 4 men in Benghazi say thank you, because they won't have to suffer that anyway. America's military readiness is completely in shambles. This, whatever it is, this atrocity has reduced our military to less than 1939 levels. If Adolf Hitler was alive today, he'd win the war. Do you understand that? Does that make an indent into your head? This is what this human caricature has pulled off. He has gutted the military. He has destroyed our health care. He has abandoned our men for the first time in our history. He is responsible for our ambassador being dead painfully and slowly and cruelly. The first one in 30 years. He is a liar! Liar, liar, pants on fire. And he is a liar every single day. He comes out and takes that microphone and looks in that teleprompter and he lies to you. He tells you falsehoods that are so huge his nose should be stuck to the ground. He is the Pinocchio of presidents. And yet, do you ever hear most of his lies? No. Because your media, ABC, CBS, NBC, NPR, CNN are all colluding to keep you from knowing what's really going on purpose. They sleep with each other. They have dinner with each other. They marry each other. They go to the same select schools. They come out of the schools and send their children to the same private exclusive schools that you will never be able to get into because you're too busy paying for the rest of the world. This is what we've created, and Obama is the pinnacle of that creation. He is what they have waited for. He is black or white or somewhere in between. But because he is part black, they feel that nobody's ever going to do anything about his true usurpation of our powers. Because what would happen? You can't do that to the first black president of the United States of America, even though he's not. He's not. And that is why his records are sealed. And that is why one of the side effects of all of these investigations into Benghazi, and the Benghazi men do thank you for that. They do thank you for that because their deaths will not have been in vain. Because out of their deaths are going to come the reasons why this usurper, this tyrant, this thing should not be in our White House, has no right to be in our White House, must be removed from our White House. As Richard Milhous Nixon once said, by hook or by crook. By hook or by crook, he's got to go. And he's going to go. And Benghazi is going to be the instrument because those men died, but they're still alive. And they're still alive because they're alive here. And nothing Obama can do can change that. They live in the hearts and souls of the people of this country who refuse to accept abandoning our men, especially abandoning our men for political purposes, especially for that. They should never be abandoned anyway. But if you have a president, a commander-in-chief, who's willing to let their lives be lost while he's in a debating class, so that he can make sure he doesn't lose his election 7 weeks coming, then that is the person who must be removed from office. High crimes and treason have been committed. High crimes and treason abound in our land, and high crimes and treason are punishable by death. This is Holly Meredith. I sincerely hope that you've gotten something out of this show because the next several months are going to be fascinating.